consistent and stable dividend to our shareholders, and the fact that we are also market leaders. We currently command 70% market share, and we intend to continue being the leaders in this sector in terms of providing power to this nation, even though we appreciate that others will come in because we cannot raise all the capital resources required to meet the demand for the nation. But we continue to be market leaders, and this country is depending on us and looking to us. So with that, I would like now to call upon our transaction advisor, Mr. Job Kihumba from SIB, to come and just take us very quickly through the program in terms of what the rights issue is taking. So Job, please come over.
Cabinet Secretary Rutich, the CS, Energy and Petroleum, Honorable Keteo, all guests, thank you very much for this opportunity. I will just take a very short time to take you through the process of how to be able to participate in the rights issue. There is what you would call the key rights issue statistics, and these statistics are clear. One is the overprice. This will be in a minute be launched by our chief guest. There is the number of equity amount to be raised, and this has also been mentioned. There is also the issue of the number of shares that are on offer. Ladies and gentlemen, you will find that there is also the entitlement, which you can actually see, which is 2 for 1, implying that for every 1 share you hold, you will be able to get 2. There is also the investment timeline, which is that we are opening today, which is 23rd of May, and we shall be closing the whole process on the 17th of June. And on the 10th of June, but on the 17th of May, we shall be doing something. We shall be looking at the processes and looking at what is available. And if it is not fully taken, we shall allow people who have applied, who are not currently shareholders. That is what we call the lump application. Now, who is eligible? There are actually only currently we have 3 groups. The first group is all the current shareholders of KenGen on the register on the 16th. This is passed now. There are also all prospective investors with a CDS account will be able to purchase shares on what we call the new paid rights on the NSE between the 3rd, up to the 3rd of June, between now and the 3rd of June. This is important. If you are not already a shareholder, you can actually go to the market from today and buy rights from existing shareholders. And then, if you are interested, and if there is any residue not taken up, this will be given through what we call a ramp issue, which will close on the 17th of June. Now, there are ways of participating. The first one is through the PAL, or the Provisional Allotment Letter. There is also through the Form E. If you buy shares on the market, you'll be given a form called Form E. You can also receive shares from a close relations or people who renounce the shares to you, or you can participate as said on the ramp. So what are the options for shareholders? The first option is you accept your offer, either fully and you subscribe. You can also apply for additional shares over and above your right. You can also accept partially, and you can actually buy, sell the, whatever you don't take in the stock market through the new paid rights process. Now, these options are important to appreciate because you don't want to miss out. But if you miss out and decline, your shares will be offered to other people. So our advice is that all shareholders should be able to take up their rights. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. The payment system. After you pay, after you take up your rights, there's a payment procedures. You can go to the authorized selling agents, who we are going to look in a minute, and you can also take up, use any other method, like banker's check, mobile money, funds transfer, irrevocable bank guarantees for qualified institutional investors, and also the irrevocable letter of undertaking, which is available to very large institutional investors. There are 22 selling agents. They have covered virtually the whole country, including the receiving bank. Every part of the country is covered. I will not read all of them, but they are there for you to see. And what is the timetable like? We started on the 16th of May, which was the record date. Today we are launching, and as you can see, the dates are there, quite tight. We shall close the rights issue on the 10th of June, and the LAMP will close on the 17th of June. And the allotment of new shares would happen on the 27th of June. And we shall do the announcement of the rights after it has been approved by the Capital Markets Authority on the 1st of July. So those are important dates to note. And with that, I say thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Job. And now I would like to invite the CEO of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Mr. Geoffrey Odundo, to come and make some remarks. Please, Jeff.
The Chief Executive of KenGen, your Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, Chairman, Cabinet Secretary, Energy, PS, Energy. On behalf of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, we are very delighted with this issue. KenGen has been a very premier stock for the exchange. Since its debut, when they listed the first shares on the exchange, I think we've never seen market exuberance as we saw with the KenGen stock. From a price of 11 at launch, it went to a high of 40. I think that's when we had the traction in the market. So this rights issue coming at this point in time, when we've had a pretty bear market, I think it's just the right time, because we've been looking for a huge IPO. And I think at where it's priced at 655, it's coming at a very, very attractive time. KenGen has tapped on the capital markets on various fronts. They did their initial IPO. They came back and did a corporate bond, which also was a very unique bond in that it was the first time we saw a public bond offer. And again, that was extremely successful. So seeing what we are going to be receiving from KenGen in this particular rights issue, I think the market is pretty ready. And from the NSE point, we would like to continue to encourage KenGen to continue tapping into the market. The kind of opportunities that they create through this issue, we see that it's going to be a phenomenal change for the market. We're looking for a big IPO, a big rights issue. So, Mr. MD, I think the timing was right, and I think your advisors have done a very good job in putting this issue together. So on behalf of the NSC, we are looking forward to a very successful issue, and also to ensure that we will basically be ringing the bell for you once the offer is fully taken home. So I'd like to thank you to your advisor, Job, and the team, and we look forward to receiving you or the boss during your listing date. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now would like to invite a representative from the Capital Markets Authority, Mr. Wycliffe Shamaya.
As it has been said, my name is Wycliffe Shamia. I'm a director in charge of market operations at CMA. I want to read a speech on behalf of my chief executive, who was actually this morning committed elsewhere on a very urgent matter, and he was not able to be here with us. Honorable Henry Rotich, Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury, Honorable Charles Keter, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Chairman, Board, and Senior Management of KenGen, Chairman, Board of the NSC and CDSC, all CEOs represented here, transaction advisors, all parties to the KenGen rights issue, market intermediaries, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable CSS, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of the Board of Capital Markets Authority to join you in this momentous occasion, signaling the launch of the KenGen rights issue. I further wish to thank you for finding time of your busy schedules to attend this function. The KenGen rights issue signals a resurgence of equity capital raising since the last rights issue witnessed in January 2015, and I'm convinced that this move will provide much needed encouragement for potential issuers to return to the capital markets after a slowdown that was affected by, among other factors, macroeconomic challenges such as high interest rates. Ladies and gentlemen, as the company embarks on this important journey to raise over 28 billion, of which 7 will be in cash, we wish to recognize the commitment and support of the Government of Kenya in providing a wide range of policy incentives and regulatory environment to support overall capital markets development. Allow me to appreciate the Honorable Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury. Since your appointment as CS in 2013, the capital markets has benefited from gazettements of regulations, with the most recent being the Stewardship Code that will no doubt enhance corporate governance practices of all issuers, as well as capital markets derivatives regulations. Other important areas where you have directly supported in terms of setting out of important policy direction include the removal of shareholding caps for foreign investors in listed equity companies, reduction in listing fees by introduction of market caps, and removal of stamp duty for transfer of assets into special purpose vehicles set up for issuance of asset-backed securities and real estate investment trust. The authority has recently submitted new policy proposals on behalf of market stakeholders, such as those related to Islamic financial and issuance of sukuks, securities lending and borrowing, new capital markets asset classes for investment by pension funds, and enhanced governance and disclosure by listed companies. We appeal to you to support the new policy incentives as we ensure the full implementation of the Capital Market Master Plan. To the Honorable CS, Energy and Petroleum, The CMA has, through coordination with NSE and market stakeholders, recently introduced the growth enterprise market segment to attract high-growth companies. One of the key targets are companies from the energy sector, specifically oil and gas companies. Our plea to you is to enhance the registration and licensing process for these companies to ensure that they tap in the capital markets through this market segment that offers less onerous approval and listing requirements. This will go a long way towards realizing the target of 100 listed companies by 2030 and a market capitalization of over 4 trillion Kenya shillings as projected in the Capital Markets Master Plan. As I conclude, I wish to ask our licensed persons to take very seriously the requirements for its key staff to hold professional certification as an initiative meant to enhance the quality of licensed services being offered to the public. We have made significant gains with CMA senior staff having already sat and passed exams, and we expect the market practitioners to follow suit. I wish to thank all the parties to the issuer and wish the whole team success as you go into the real job. Thank you, and God bless you.
Good morning. Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Henry Rotich, Energy Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Charles Keter. Principal Secretary is present. We have our 2 Principal Secretaries, KenGen Board of Directors, KenGen MD and CEO, distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen. Firm instructions from the 2 CSs not to make a speech, and I do not want to make the speech. I will just make just a few remarks because they're a bit in a hurry. So ours is to thank you for coming, especially our 2 CSs for gracing the occasion. This is a milestone for us, and we want to thank the shareholders who've been able and our friends. And we want to thank you for coming to join us on this journey, and we believe that at the end of it all, it will be both rewarding for our shareholders and KenGen as a company and Kenya as a country. Our success in achieving our strategic goals have enabled us to reframe national energy generation in this country. And as we were talking in the holding room, the CSS were saying, they hope this is the last time we're coming to ask for a rights issue. And we were assuring them that this could be the last, because the number of projects that we've lined up, that we hope this money that we'll be able to generate will be able to spur us, and it's going to improve our cash flows, it's going